for 2023 to
2023. Oh boy, oh boy, it has been a year. I think it was an amazing year. It was a year full of growth. Like
yeah,
I feel like I've had a lot of growth, whether it be family wise, whether it be, just relationship wise, right? Platonic or romantic like ours. We did get married this year. Whether it be
yeah,
whether it be, associated with like work,
mm-hmm.
my regular professional life or like my real estate business, right? Like growth, I think, was the theme of this year for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
And and with that, like growth came out of growth came resilience,
yeah,
right?
mm-hmm.
Dealing with all the tenants
Yep.
issues,
I,
dealing with my property, even, dealing with all of that. Like,
I
so
was there.
yeah. And you were there, you were a support. And it was the thing is, it was, there were challenging situations, like
Yeah,
just management, right, of certain difficult tenants, which we will definitely get into that in future episodes. We'll talk about, the business and things like that, but
yeah,
um dealing with just the personalities and things, and with the city, and when with contractors. So a lot of growth that's happened.
mm-hmm.
All in all, it was an amazing experience. All in all, if I could do it over again, I would. All in all, we will continue to do it again, and our real estate business will
Major
continue to
plane
grow.
coming.
So we're very excited about what we have upcoming, but
Yep.
I think like a lot of what it was almost like training wheel with that one property, right?
Yeah.
Granted, we have like other properties. However, with this one,
Yeah.
it's
Even even
definitely
even
training
even
wheels.
even the house. Even getting a house
Oh,
was
that's another thing. We
yeah,
bought a house this year.
yeah,
So even buying a house this year, like
yeah.
when I say buying, like not an investment property, like bought a house
Home.
to like a home, our first home.
Yeah.
Even that was like the most
I remember
excruciating closing that I've ever dealt with in my
the
life.
last week was like remember like it was like hell. Like it's like
One
either
thing
do or
after
die.
another.
Remember we had to like pull all type of strings.
We
But
had to do
we ain't gotta get
everything.
into that.
And the
But
family
yeah,
came through. That's the other thing when I say growth also in terms of
family.
family came through.
Yep.
Like family in just all aspects, the wedding planning, all, family came through. Guys, this
Everybody.
last 6 quarter,
Yep.
we were planning a wedding, we're buying a house, we're getting furniture, and
Goku. The dog. The
yes,
podcast dog, Goku.
yes,
Right? So
he's
Goku
he's
also
knocked
too.
out right now.
Yeah.
Goku. We were caring for Goku while he was over there
Yeah.
in Michigan, versus, and then coming
Shout
over
out to all my
here.
cousin that helped me, David, Moment,
Dog
John, Baka.
sit.
Well, they help me with Goku every time I travel. They'll take care of Goku
Yeah.
every time.
So Goku's not here.
Sharif
He's
too.
a New Yorker.
Seydu. Yeah.
So I think that like yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was growth, and so because of
Yeah.
that, I'm super excited for the next year.
I got a question for you. So you was talking about growth, right? So remember when you was going through all the process when you was buying no, you already had went through the process or whatever, but you were dealing with some issues with the house, remember?
Mhm.
Like the roofing issue
Mhm.
and there was some other issue I can't remember, but you remember
The investment property.
yeah.
Okay.
So the one in Hartford. So
Yeah.
all right, and then remember it was like so like like it was so demanding, right?
Yeah.
You had to do a lot, and then
Yes.
remember you called me one time or whatever, and you was like, "Man, I'm going through this." Woo. It happened twice. One, it was like, okay, I need to make a decision about the roofing. Like it was like whatever,
Yeah.
20K, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, it's gonna, it's gonna once you change the roof, it's gonna last you for like what 20 years or something like that."
Yeah. It was a
Right.
long
It was
time.
like, okay, like I'm like, that's a good investment. Go ahead and do it, whatever. And then,
Mhm.
but and after later on, something else happened. I think it was with the furnace.
Mhm.
Remember? I don't know. Was it the furnace?
What?
Like,
At what point? What happened?
I think like something like the furnace was no longer working.
Yeah. No. I mean, the furnace wasn't working. one of the unit was vacant.
Oh, yeah.
The pipe burst. Like, a lot happened.
But I was talking about in that particular moment, you called me because like each furnace was like 3K or 2. I can't remember.
Oh
But
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you're like, man, it's just another like
Yep.
I gotta spend more money. I gotta spend more
It was
money.
like 15K altogether.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 furnaces.
Remember you called me. You was like really
And
down.
labor.
You was like emotional about it. Oh, so like take us through that. Like like what was going through your head like when you were pretty much in a mix of it and after you made your decision.
For the roofing, I would say, so the roofing actually, that was last year, I think, when I first purchased the property.
Yeah.
And for the roofing, the tenant that was there at the time, which we ended up going through like an entire eviction process in itself. But the tenant that was there at the time was complaining about leaking. She was complaining about leaking before I even purchased the property.
Yeah.
She said that the old owner had like done some patchwork, but the patchwork was still like an issue. Yeah. So essentially, the tenants that I inherited, I purchased the property and the roof was just super old. So I was like, this is a huge undertaking, right? To completely do a brand new roof. However, I want to make sure that nothing is happening on this with this roof, because I kept having different people go in, right? And here's the thing, also when it comes to contractors, I kept having different people go in to give me a quote. Some will be like, yeah, it's fine, it could last you maybe about like 5 more years. Others will be like, oh my goodness, this roof like should have been replaced years ago, it's bound to collapse. You get what I'm saying? And so it was very, very, very hard to decipher between like those who were just saying what they were saying for the sake of getting a contract so that I can,
people say
and hire them.
Yeah.
Or if, okay, yeah, no, I can push through this a little bit, put a little bit reserve and then eventually go through and like or just sell it, right? Which I ended up doing without having to do that big of like a capital expenditure. So for me, it was number one, figuring out that, and then that was super confusing for me. And then also I think we came to the conclusion like, hey, let me get other opinions and other quotes. We had other contractors that came and said something similar in that like this roof is dated. Yeah. And so it really made me feel like if I'm going to have tenants be at this property, I want to make sure that everything is 100% safe. Or at least to the best of my ability, right? I can't continue to go by knowing that, oh, this roof is like super dated. There's leaks when there's, a lot of rain. Leaks kind of go into the light fixtures, like that can cause like electric shocks and things like that. So I think overall, like I bit the bullet and I was like, this is an investment property. This is a major expenditure that's going to end up increasing the value of the house, which it did. Yeah. And let me just do it.
Paid off eventually.
So that was that. Yeah. For the pipes in the winter, that was just one thing after another. So it was evicting those tenants and then just one thing after another, and then obviously like if you have a investment property and
when you got evicted, they messed up the whole apartment.
They trashed the apartment. That's another episode.
And they left the cat too,
they left cats. Yeah. In the apartment that the contractor and property manager found. Yep. That's another story in its own. But
so during this whole thing, like, did it ever occur to you at one point like, yo, I think I might have made a mistake by buying this property?
No.
So you was all in.
I think I definitely had overwhelming times. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, this is a lot. I don't know what to do. It definitely forced me to go into problem solving mode like quickly. Yeah. As soon as and that wasn't even the work, like more and more kept piling on top of when we were doing our own stuff, right? Like planning wedding and all this other stuff. So it was one of those things where it's like something will come up, boom, I like overwhelming feeling. Yeah. And then straight right into problem solving. Yeah. What do I need to do? Da, da, da. And then I'll obviously talk to you about it as like my outlet and stuff. But never that I think that like this isn't something that because I want to continue to. I enjoy. I've had great tenants. Okay. So the great tenants, the having my own investment property, having my own cash flow coming in. and like passive income. Well, not so passive at the time, at the moment, but nevertheless, having investment property and rental and being a landlord and being an investor outweighed having to deal with some like those cons. I looked at those as these are the things that I need to experience in order to grow as an investor and to build these toolkits in my toolbox so that next time when things happen, I've learned from these experiences, which is why I say growth this year.
So do you feel like with like, you dealing with the bad tenants and, like, you're investing into this property, but things end up going, you end up paying more money, like, you end up coming out of pockets and stuff like that. Do you feel with all the experience and everything you went through, ups and downs,
Yes.
do you feel that that experience alone, you were unveiled?
Absolutely.
Boom. So basically, that's the whole point, right?
That's
Going through your own experience and being like, being able to be disciplined, being able to be accountable, going through being persistent, resilient, and putting your head down. And if you believe in doing something, just go full throttle and just do it.
Yep.
Right. So that's the whole point of this. So she said through that experience she was unveiled, and the funny thing about
it was a difficult experience, but nevertheless, it allowed me to be unveiled.